All right, I think we're live here. Let's see what the timer does. Let me get this. Hold on, get a little bit of light. Get some light, and let there be light. And there was light. Let there be sound. Okay, got that light open. See if this timer is going to start officially or not, or it's just going to kind of chill here for a bit. Just slightly. All right, see if this thing's going to go live. Are we going to go live or not? Is anybody going to get in here? Let's see what it's doing. There it goes. It's finally live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals, and let me give you guys our bicep shot when we get started. Oh, Mount Bicephus. All right, up front, before we go into questions and answers by my beautiful and lovely audience, talk about Greg Doucette. I'm going to start calling out all these scam artists again. You know what? I did that years ago. I used to be famous for it before other stuff, of calling out the scam artists in this industry who used their reputation, their training or nutrition knowledge, their physiques to sell garbage scam ass supplements. Doucette is on that list now. It doesn't mean he doesn't know what he's doing. I'm not saying the guy's not knowledgeable or accomplished. I'm saying he's selling scams. I won't call him Lollipop Gib because, you know, when he approaches, waddles up to the camera. Hey guys, it's Greg Doucette. And I got my Turkscam for you. It's testosterone light. Greg Doucette. Testosterone light Turkscam. It works, man. I'm going to sing my song for you. We represent the Lollipop Gib. The Lollipop Gib, the Lollipop Gib with Turkscam and Primo in my depths. Right? That is my Greg Doucette imitation. Squidget waddles up to the camera. Selling you coffee. And people say, why are you making fun of people? I'm going to make fun of people who are scamming you as scam artists. They need to be made fun of. It would be one thing if there's no reason, if they were just a decent person. He is conning people. He is selling Turkscam still and saying, oh, it's like testosterone, right? Buy it. I need a new Maserati. I'm looking at going and getting a GT500 Mustang. I found one for $500,000. Y'all got to buy some Turkscam. Not get any gains. I mean, because essentially it's garbage. Every expert out there says it doesn't work. It is not supported by literature. It's garbage. In fact, I've even heard my bro Alan Bacon, Dr. Alan Bacon, MD, is also actually a pretty dang good coach, has even said, he goes, there's no scientific evidence to support this. He's like, there's none. It's garbage. It's completely useless for gaining muscle. I've heard him say that. All right? So the audacity of this guy to waddle up to the camera, busting out his little Lollipop Guild song to sell you Turkscam. Yeah, I'm going to make fun of that. And I know I'm not making fun of him because he's short. I'm using it to make fun of the fact that he's a scam artist. Because you have to. Okay? Just like when I gave Alpha Destiny back in the day, who's better named Alexander Leonidas, for pushing the above the knee rack pull. It was a con, it was a scam, it was causing harm, damaging gym equipment for no gains. Of course, I made fun of it. And I quit doing that when he quit doing that nonsense. See how it works? Quit scamming people, quit promoting BS, and there's no reason to make fun of a person after that. It's very simple philosophy. All right. No, I'm not worried about anyone coming after me at this point. Everyone's come after me already. Everybody has already come after me. My back is bigger. We should really call him Alex. I think he's moved on from the Virgin Lark. I agree. Let's just call him Alex. We'll call him Alexander Leonidas. Like I said, man, I mean, dude, imagine being born with a name like that and not using it, man. I would be like, what's up, girl? My name is Alexander Leonidas. Yes, that's my real name. Check my ID. Respect it. All right. Rondo says Greg Doucette knows how to make money, but he sold his soul to become a con artist. And it is that simple. That is what I've got a problem with. It is that simple. That is my only problem with the guy. That's it. That's it. He's conning people on scam products. Outside of that, I have no other beef with this man. But he's selling his soul. Hey, Pooh. Grown men don't beef and get in fist fights and all that stuff, okay? In fact, how old are you? Are you like 16? You gotta be. You're a kid, aren't you? All right, I can tell. All right. Let's get over and get to some questions, though. We covered all of that. We made a spectacle. You guys need to hit those likes. If I made you laugh with that invitation, give a brother a like. Also, follow my Facebook fitness page. It's in the description down below. If you are not following it already, jump in there and follow it. All right. Now that I've got everybody's attention, that we got your attention, let's get some training talk. What do we want to talk about with training? Also, I'll probably look leaner next week by the time Monday rolls around. I got another. I don't like to waste food, and I got some potatoes left. I'm gonna cut down to healthy fats and drop my carbs down, drop that water. I think you guys will realize I got leaner during this higher carb phase, but it doesn't show till I drop the carbs back down a little. Go back to some healthy fats. I look my leanest. Yes, that will still be most largely plant-based. Lots of walnuts, lots of almonds, almond butter, natural peanut butter, all that goodness, avocados. All right. Saul Infinite. Let's get to these questions. How much less volume can I get away with to maintain muscle mass while on an aggressive 2-month cut? I don't know, man. I don't know your situation and your training response and your recovery, Saul. What I will say is you need to have an idea of what your baseline is, and you're probably going to need to, if you're going to increase volume, you're going to need to add more pump work and watch the heavy work closely. Usually if we cut volume, we can keep the heavy work going hard on the cut. So it's a matter of, are you going to want to reduce volume to maximize recovery, or are you trying to recover from adding additional volume? Okay, so it's a lot of nuance to that as far as what's going on, and you have to look at it from that approach of saying, what am I trying to do with the training philosophy towards what goal? All right. Hey, Pooh says, do you think Greg's training advice is good? He says, do full body. What? I didn't know he says that. Circuit style? No, I wouldn't agree with that. He doesn't train that way. He didn't build his physique training that way. All right, let's go back and discuss that for a moment. I don't know what he's advocating now, but I remember what he used to advocate to some extent, and it seemed pretty reasonable. Like, historically, I don't remember Greg really saying things about training that weren't pretty good advice. I mean, the guy obviously knows how to train. And I want to make that clear when that comes up. People say, yeah, but you used all this gear. Okay, that's irrelevant. You don't get to where Greg was without knowing how to train. Okay? I don't care how much stuff you use. You don't get his physique and particularly his strength levels without having a pretty solid knowledge of training. It's not how it works, guys. Okay? Now, whatever if he's really advocating what you said there, that is not what he used to get his where he is. Okay. All right. No, I would not recommend full body circuit style training to get jacked. Might be okay for some people who are just trying to use it for conditioning purposes. All right. What's your number one tip to get big arms? Focus really hard on your curls. Honestly, Bob, if you want bigger arms, and I found my biceps grew finally after all those years of powerlifting when I started taking curls seriously. You need to treat your curls with as much respect as you do your deadlift. Okay? Perfect reps, hard sets, look at your ranges of motion, quality, hard ass work. That is the trick. You have to take your curls seriously and not treat them as an afterthought like I used to do. I'll just throw some curls in somewhere at the end, right? That didn't work. I started seeing bicep gains not that long ago, really, when I stepped back and said, look, I really need to train them in a serious manner and take them seriously and treat curls like a serious lift with the same amount of respect I would take a bench press or a deadlift. Okay. Saul says, thanks. Try to do the least amount of volume required to maintain my muscle mass, but I maintain all the muscle. If I cut volume by half, I'll keep my strength. Potentially, yes. John, I've never said I was on a dairy farm or implied I was on a dairy farm or that I've even visited a dairy farm at any point in my life. I will still answer your question. Let me read your question out. Thoughts on raw milk versus normal pasteurized milk? I seem to recall you saying you were around a dairy farm as a child. I've tried both. Extra money wasn't worth the slight creamier flavor. IMO. By dairy farm, I think you mean cattle ranch. You eat them. Dairy cows you don't eat. You raise them for milk. In industry, they're mutually exclusive. Okay, you don't sell the milk in the store from beef cattle. They're specialized breeds, and you're not eating dairy cows. Okay, and a lot of people don't know that. That's okay. They're separate industries. All right. Now that being said, before I go into the data on pasteurized milk, I'll mention my grandmother on the ranch who did, she did milk at least one of her cows. So she had milk, but you don't use that commercially, okay? Because they're not high producers like the dairy breeds. All right. Meemaw, why you got the milk on that big pan on the stove? And she said, to cook it and kill all the bacteria. It's pasteurizing it so that you don't get sick. Okay. Farmers have the common sense to know this. My grandma on the ranch had enough sense to know, hey, you don't drink your milk raw and you don't give it to your grandchildren raw because they'll get sick. It's a reason it's illegal in a lot of places. All right. Look at all the things that Louis Pasteur was nominated for all the lives he saved by inventing a formal process for pasteurizing milk. Raw milk literally kills people every year. It's not a high number, but it literally kills people every single year. All right. That being said, because there's interest in looking into it and there's funding to look into it, why would there be funding to look into it? Because don't you think if the dairy industry could sell you raw milk, they would? It would cut their production costs. Okay, let's be clear. Let's look at bias. Don't you think the dairy industry would love to cut production costs and remove a government regulation off of the only product they produce? Do you think they have a vested interest in that? Do you think they have a vested interest in funding studies? Right? They have an interest. They've funded studies to see, hey, are there benefits? Is it safe? Because they could make more money if they could sell raw milk. Like, this is good for them. Guess what? The studies found repeatedly there's no health benefits. All the supposed health benefits are make-believe. They don't exist when they study it. They're just make-believe. They're people's placebos. So why would you drink it? It has a small risk of death and illness with no health benefits. And it saves lives to pasteurize it. Pretty straightforward. And again, before people say, oh, your car just big business has an interest in funding studies to see if they could sell it raw. Like, they would like to be able to. It is in their interest for those studies to come back saying, hey, let's do this. They funded them. It's just not there. All right, go back down to the next question. Hey, Jason, God bless. I am cutting, but if I mess up, I treat it like I'm bulking and do more volume. If I eat a calorie surplus on a rest day, give me more excess calories to build muscle with. I don't have a problem with you doing that, actually. I don't think that's unreasonable. Guy says, is one of the reasons you train the garage up is advertise to strangers who might want it in person? No, because I don't really offer that. All right, I'm going to make it even more practical. Are you ready? All right. Are you ready? It gets hot as hell in my garage other than the winter. I get better airflow. Number one. Number two, I have fluorescent lighting in there. It's hard to get good lighting to film my workouts in the winter at all already. So I just keep everything open to get enough light in there to actually get decent filming. It's very practical. Right? It's way more practical than you might be making it out to be. What are your thoughts on the study that shows similar side delt activation before 45 degree incline rows and side laterals? I mean, I've seen all that. It's certainly possible. Those some older stuff, if I recall, those were EMG studies. It seems somewhat reasonable. I wouldn't take it to the bank, but I think we can generally agree that most rear delt raises do work the side delts to a large extent. M. Fran, I predicted we see 185 pounds rip Blaha in the next 2 years. Man, 185, I'd be pretty dang lean. Johnson, I'm in agreement. Thanks for the response. Xander, I missed your name. Xander said Jesus is Lord. I tend to agree, in my professional opinion. All right. Thoughts on Cali Muscle saying watermelon seeds made his test 1,500 nanograms per deciliter. Another scam artist right there. Alextra Polska, one of my people. Have you ever seen a melatonin protein shake before bed? Ever had it? No. Why would I do that? Why wouldn't you just take melatonin separate? I'm 5'9", 210, around 20% body fat. Do you think I should bulk or cut, as Greg would say, main gain? I hate that term. You could recomp if you want, or you could bulk or cut. I don't know. What's more important to you right now? Making some extra lean gains, in which case a nice slow lean bulk. If you're cool with just nice slow gains and recomping, then recomp. But if you want to get noticeably leaner, then cut. There you go. Blaha is clearly playing the long game. He'll be huge and ripped. Exactly. You guys notice throughout these little sections of me getting leaner and leaner and leaner, right? Breaking it up into cuts, maintaining a little while, cuts, maintaining. Notice I am not losing any muscle. And occasionally I've gained a little muscle here or there. I'm playing a long game. And I get used to being leaner each time. It's not like I'm dealing with problems or my body not being able to adapt. It's, oh man, we're too low, I can't handle it. It's been slowly working down because I don't plan on getting fatter. I have no plans on gaining any body fat in the next few years. So it is about the long game of can we get lean, get the body used to being lean and just keep chiseling away and then make lean gains. And it's the name of the game. All about the long game. Your bicep vein is crazy. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I've eaten, so I've had my food for the eating. That makes a big difference. Once I eat, because you guys, when I train in the mornings, I'm actually fasted. Once I eat, though, it's like all those veins are popping out. All hard and vascular. All hard and vascular like a cock. Nick says, yes, they were EMG studies. Yeah, I thought they were, if I recall. You ever had trouble getting to sleep sometimes? Yeah, dude, I have my insomnia issues just like everyone else. Sometimes use melatonin. Although funny enough, a lot of my stuff is on timers and people don't realize that. So I get people, oh, you're up, blah, what are you doing? And I'll see the post in the morning. It's, from something that goes up at 3 a.m. and they don't realize everything's on timers. Most of my stuff online. I'm not even awake. I'm like a sound asleep. My stuff's hitting YouTube, hitting Facebook, and then people getting all angry. What are you doing up at 3 in the morning? Posted on social media at 3 a.m. You're a loser. And instead, they're the one on social media at 3 a.m. I'm the one in bed asleep. Hamza says, I'm 5'3". It's still worth it for me to go to the gym. What does that have to do with going to the gym? Do you want to be strong and fit and healthy? Like, what does your height have to do? Like, why is that even a factor? I don't understand your question. Because you're short, you don't want to be strong and fit and healthy and jacked and look good? Explain your logic to me, brother. You don't want to take care of your body because you're short? That's a really bad reason. You're going to ask me next, I got curly hair. Is it worth it for me to go to the gym? You know what I mean? I've got one finger longer than the other. Is it worth it for me to go to the gym? God gave me a birthmark on my left shoulder. Is it worth it for me to go to the gym? Come on, dude. Yes, you should go to the gym. Yeah, go to the gym, man. People are going to say, oh, okay. People are going to think it makes it look like you're coping. Why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care what they think? Polska, what do you mean the body? Why don't you take a shower, dude? All right, Polska. All right, you ready? There's this invention that people created a long time ago. It's called soap. What you do, you take that soap and you rub it on your body, and then you get in the water and wash it off. Okay? It's called soap. SOAP. It's an ancient invention. And this invention called soap, when you rub it all over your body in the sweat and the BO that has all the bacteria, and then you rinse it off with water, whether it's in a bath or a shower, it removes that. Okay, problem. I'm glad I was able to help you. Rondo, because a lot of algorithms work better if your stuff is spread out. Like if you want to have multiple posts, I don't think you realize how much Facebook stuff I have that goes up. Woo! Till you realize when you look at certain things of some of my profiles, you're like, this is like 300 posts going up in a day. Oh. All right. Do you think Greg's Napoleon complex is the root of his personality? No, not really. Hamza, what ethnicity of women hit in the grocery store the most? I don't know that that's relevant. I mean, honestly, why do guys care? I mean, does it matter? I mean, I'll give you the answer. Okay, in order. Generally, who I get hit on by if I'm out in public, which groups of women tends to be Hispanic, hit on me the most. Then Caucasian girls, the second, and then black girls behind them. So, if I were to try to break it down just over time, but think about where I live. All right, think about the demographics of where I live, and that kind of makes sense. It's actually fairly close to a representation of the population surrounding me. So therefore, I don't think it has anything to do with that. It purely has to do with that kind of matches the percentages of who lives in a 5-mile radius around me. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? So yeah, to be fair, I don't think there's actually any sort of bias there. All right. Next question. Have you considered wearing headphones so that head on the upload sounds annoying habit? Who says it's all the time? Who says it's all the time? But I wear headphones in public a lot. I usually have headphones in when I grocery shop, but I'm going to explain how this works. Okay, hold on. You ready? Walking along, I'm pushing my grocery cart. Oh, yeah, what's up? You think headphones stop people from stopping you? They see your earbuds in, you're listening to music, pushing your cart. People are going to stop you. That's just how it works, guys and girls both. Dudes will stop you to ask you for workout tips. Guys will stop you when you look like you lift with headphones in the grocery store. They'll do this, and then you pull the headphones out and they're like, bro, you're big, man, you're jacked. Like, what do you bench press? What brand of protein do you take? That is how it works. Xander, no. I mean, I'll be happy to take your $5, but I'm not going to answer questions about a topic I don't know anything about. See, if I were to really answer like what you even said there, this would create problems for me. My trolls will be begging for me to start an OnlyFans if I actually answer that. So we're just going to skip that. Penile enhancement. I'm not trying to kill anybody. All right. All right. Hey, Pooh says, I always get hit on by guys that makes me uncomfortable, and it just happens. If you lift, you got to deal with that too. Oh, that's going to be, yeah, hey, Pooh, there you go. There seals the deal on your gains. If you can't handle that, you quit lifting. Don't even try to get jacked. If you can't handle other dudes walking up and flirting with you, just quit the gym now. Because if you ever get jacked, you better be ready. All right. You ever get where I'm at right now, you're going to have to deal with dudes you don't know walking up and touching you. That's just how it is. Sorry for stranger questions, Coach. How do you like to eat pork? I'm not really a pork fan, to be honest. Bob, as far as how often has that happened, it depends on where you are. And if people are drinking or not, it's a big, big part of that sort of. Okay, hey, this is a great fitness topic. No, that's a great fitness topic. I can tell you if you are pretty jacked and you clearly look like you lift and people can tell you lift and you are in an environment where people are drinking, like particularly a bar, the odds of that happening are very high, extremely high. And here's where it becomes a problem. You live in a more conservative area where they may be not out, and they get that way when they drink. Okay. And then you just rejected them while they're under the influence. That can be not pretty situations. So again, just something for you guys who are trying to get into lifting. You're like, man, I want to get really, or, the funniest one are all these guys who are like, oh, I want to get super jacked and go pick up girls at the club. Yeah, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. You walk into the club all jacked and swole with bicep veins popping out. Yeah. No, Polska, I just think a pig is a nasty animal, to be honest. It's nothing to do with any religious belief of mine. Pig's a nasty animal, and they have a lot of saturated fat. It's not something you should be eating regularly. It's not. I don't go, oh, this is some sinful, terrible thing. No, but it is a case of it's a very high in saturated fat, which is not good for you, right? And I mean, do I need to give you the whole Jules spiel from Pulp Fiction? I said, "Would you not eat bacon? Are you Jewish?" And he says, "No, man. Just I don't dig on swine because a pig is a filthy animal. I don't eat anything that doesn't have enough sense to disregard its own feces." Right? Do you remember that whole spiel? There you go. Yeah, Xander, you're a weirdo, dude. Sorry. Bye. All right. Just saying, anybody who's that obsessed with my genitalia, you don't need to be hanging out in the chat. Well, Dan versus Dennis, farm-raised pig isn't any dirtier than a farm-raised chicken. Now, that might be a valid point. I mean, a farm-raised chicken could be a pretty nasty animal, too. Casing says, how do you feel about constant tension on the muscle? Well, I usually probably would feel that right about the middle of the movement. Me being a smart ass. Yeah, that's a classic scene in Pulp Fiction. That is definitely, how do I put this? That whole movie was full of just great dialogues. I love that movie. I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater because, again, keep in mind my age. When I went with my friends and we saw Pulp Fiction in the theater with my bros, right? Um, I loved that movie from day one. It's always will always be in my top 5. Bob, it's very obvious. Bob, if I don't want to encourage anyone to look into those people. They are obviously all of them obsessed with those aspects of me, and it's very clear that they are, up to and including even the channels with a lot of followers who make videos. It's blaringly obvious that they're projecting some weird stuff onto me. I don't think LinkedIn partials are that special, Hamza. I think LinkedIn position exercises are great for muscle growth, but I think he's just, I'm just going to call it, dude. He's being a BS nonsense, peddling this nonsense. Okay. He just really is. He is at the point where he is simply peddling a lot of nonsense to push his own special magical training that isn't even as supported by the research as he would like to pretend that it is. And plenty of people have built amazing, massive physiques, produced massive and maximal muscle mass in the lab, won Mr. Olympias without focusing on them. Do I think we need some LinkedIn position exercises? Yes. I think that you have to do at least one to maximize muscle growth in any given muscle. I think that's reasonable. Do I think that there's even data to really support the idea that those partials are magical, or that that's really where your focus should be? No, I don't think the data supports it. But I will say, I do think that to maximize growth, you do need at least one LinkedIn position exercise for any muscle that you want to maximize growth. No, tofu is not my new go protein. I eat it, but I eat some lean meat and then low fat and fat free dairy. Chris, I'm not talking any gear talk. Not under the way YouTube's rules are, and in fact, I've taken down any of my content that I'm aware of on that. All right. Bob says, I feel like he's talking about the Lincoln position partials. I feel like it's another fad like rack pulls. It will just die out. I agree. It'll die out. Just like the opposite. Okay. It's just like the opposite. Do you remember when the shortened position exercises were all the rage? They weren't always calling them that, but do you remember that phase? Are there any prominent PhDs who are still out there in the fitness industry who push those as the be-all, end-all? And they were all the rage. All the rage. If you're unaware of this individual, I'll give you a name. Brett Contreras. Was your physique the best in junior? So yeah, it probably was because I was on the lower carbs. I feel like I've recomped a little though on the higher carbs. So we'll see where I'm at here in a couple of weeks. I don't know John Brown's training philosophy. Do you think the fake chicken and beef is okay for someone trying to eat more plant-based? Depends on what's in it. Chris, I speak my mind now, but I'm not going to discuss illegal substances. That's the problem. Right? I mean, I'm just going to be straightforward, dude. I am not going to get up here and discuss illegal substances on my channel or promote their use. But yeah, Apu, it depends on what's in them. The fact that it's fake beef or fake chicken doesn't tell me anything. Some of them are better than others in terms of the ingredient quality. However, some of the ones that are coming out, when I'm looking at what's in them, they look reasonably healthy. There are ones, so yeah, I mean, there you go. That's going to be a win for some of the vegans. It's going to some of the vegans who might not like me might chime in when I say this. But like the Beyond Burger, I looked into them kind of closely and started looking at their process. And at first, I was very against them. But when I'm looking at what's in there, I think it's actually probably pretty healthy. I know that's going to upset some people for me to say that. So, you know, if someone was trying to eat more plant-based and they wanted to eat that, I don't have a problem with it. All right. He says Lane deserves to get called out again. What's Lane pushing now? Apu said, how did everyone diet 20 plus years ago before all the diet sodas and sugar-free stuff came? I got to pause here for a moment. +20. How far do you mean it's 20 plus? I hope you don't mean 21. I hope you don't mean 25. Because you're talking about before I was born. I'm 47. What do you mean? Okay. You don't think 25 years ago when you walked into the grocery store, the shelves were full of Diet Coke and Diet Dr. Pepper and sugar-free zero or sugar-free Jello and stuff? You don't think that was available right there at every single grocery store? You think that's like a modern thing? Wow, okay. Chris, let me explain this very carefully. If you have a platform like this where you have signed an agreement for a set of rules that they can arbitrarily enforce at any time, and you signed an agreement with them that says if you violate this rule, we can terminate your account as a punishment for life, and you've signed a contractual agreement agreeing to this, and you choose to break said rule, what do you think the potential consequences are at the discretion of the contract holder? I have a contractual agreement with YouTube, and on there, part of that agreement under the terms of service, by which I am legally bound by contract, they reserve the right, if I endorse illegal substances on my channel, I signed a contract saying they reserve the right to terminate my channel for it if I promote illegal substances. Okay? Not about speaking my mind. I signed an agreement saying I will not promote illegal substances. Same thing, even at, say, your job or you have a contract in a business. So let's say that you have a terms of service for a job you work at. And that job says, hey, man, you can't talk about illegal drugs and promote them while on the clock. And it's actually in the company policy and you signed it as an employee, right? You're contractually bound to that. It's not a case of, oh, I can't speak my mind. So Chris, the fact of the matter is, they're illegal substances in many of the countries that are listening. And I signed an agreement saying I wouldn't do that. All right. So pretty straightforward, dude. Dan says, I don't give relationship advice, man. That's between you and your girl. Bob says, do you agree with Greg's simple explanation of calorie in, calories out? I don't know what his simple explanation is. How many Diet Cokes do you drink during a prep or whatever? At the moment, none. In social environments, I drink a lot of Diet Coke. All right. Particularly, like if I'm in an environment where my friends are drinking alcohol, I'm going to drink Diet Coke. Because I obviously don't drink alcohol. But then I am partaking in a drinking of something with them and in their same social activity. But I'm drinking Diet Coke while they're drinking, a bourbon. Dan, I already answered the question you mentioned about the coaching. I mean, Dan, it's pretty simple. I don't want my channel closed. How do I get coaching clients from YouTube if I don't have a YouTube? Rondo, that's a standard term of service. So, for example, all those channels who are discussing gear, they signed a contract saying that they can be terminated at any time for that. Okay? Redmond, but why would I want to go into a platform and discuss special supplements? You guys there are plenty of people who put out information in their whole forums and communities. Like there's no need to do that. You ever had a ban? No, I don't even have strikes. No, I follow the rules. I actually follow the rules of the agreement that I made with YouTube. Sam Salute Fellow Check says he has 2 to 3 liters of Diet Coke daily. I mean, yeah, I don't have an issue with him doing that. Apu, what's so bad about alcohol a few times a month? The fact that it's a poison, and even in moderation, it has a negative effect on your body. Number 2, the other effects, the psychological effects. All right, guys, I'm going to state this very, very clear. I'm just going to say this as nicely as possible because this keeps coming up. I am not going to go discuss gear on another platform. Stop fucking asking me. See how easy that is? That's as nicely as I can say it. I don't know how else I can say it. Is that nice enough? Sorry, guys. All right. Did we get the point across? Marco says, so is more plates, more dates risking his channel closed even? Yeah, absolutely. People with 1 million followers have been closed for rules violations before, dude. And they don't even get a warning. So here's the thing with a channel his size. He has enough videos on it that if they decide to come after him, they're just going to just close it down. That would just be the end of it. So if someone at YouTube decides to do it, that's it. All right. Back is Bigger says, I feel like the best way to ensure your kids don't get into alcohol is to not drink yourself and not make it a big deal the fact you don't drink. Lead by example and don't tempt them through fear. Now, I agree with that. I mean, your kids are going to imitate you. They're going to imitate you. Plus, the other thing, people keep wanting me to do gear talk. I don't even do gear anymore. So I don't know what you guys want out of me. I'm not trying to be the gear messiah here, guys. All right. No, Chris, it's the topics I'm covering. My views have gone up, though, on average since I've been getting leaner. Anka, how are we defining as legit natty? Are you asking me, do I use any anabolics? No, I don't use any anabolics these days. So, YouTube natty, Michael Hearn natty. How are we defining Michael Hearn natty? Anything less than 2 grams of trin a week. Oh my gosh. So I'm not even going to really discuss TRT that much anymore, guys, other than to say that if you need it, you need it. I think it can be a very good thing. But my advice in this day and age, because of just the way people are so silly about it, I would tell people don't even talk about it. All right. At least not online, not in fitness circles. You get out of fitness circles, that's where people can talk about it. Fitness world, we're at a point where the fitness world is so weird about it. If anyone even discusses TRT, they can't differentiate in their head that it's not gear. And see, kind of, Anka, that's therein lay the problem with your question. And this is not me being defensive. This is me saying it is extremely rude. I'm not sure what country you're from. In America, it's extremely, extremely rude to ask a person what medications does their doctor prescribe them. Okay, unless you have a professional reason to ask them. Okay, there might be cases to where your employer might need to know because a medication you take could affect your job or the machinery you operate, in which case that's okay to ask. You know, are you on any medications that would make you unable to do your job? But in casual conversations, it is very culturally rude in my country to do that. Like it's people take great offense to that here. So you may not be aware of that. And so people forget that when they do that all the time on social media. But those are separate questions. My back is bigger. You're asking them if they're on gear or to. Do you understand those are completely separate questions? Okay, yeah, I figured because I did recognize it, the Japanese name. You might be from Japan and somewhere. Polska, I don't have the time to break down the cultural differences between the 7 basic regions of the United States. So if you want to know that, you could spend the next 100 hours researching that question. Okay, there are whole books written an entire huge studies and breakdowns and demographics showing how the United States is essentially 7 regional cultures. And in Texas is one of its own regions. And so if you look into that, it will make it, for even people who are in America who haven't researched this, it will make sense why people hold different viewpoints and customs when you travel over to these 3 states versus the one where you're from, or why they act different in public and they do things differently. So essentially, think of the United States as almost like 7 different countries and cultures. So those cultures are as different as, say, Italy versus Poland, like where you are. But we have 50 states, but all those 50 states kind of fall into one of those 7 regions. And it's a little bit of flow back and forth, just like through Europe. But they're all kind of their own separate culture. So you're asking, how is it different? You basically asked, is the equivalent of saying, how is Polish culture different from Europe, the rest of Europe? Is kind of the equivalent question. That would be an extremely long, nuanced question. I mean, literally like 500-page book level question. So, but I mean, it's a fascinating topic if you wanted to look into it. Limitless, yeah, people don't actually walk around in public and go, hey, does your doctor prescribe you metformin? Hey, do you get Viagra from your doctor? Hey, yeah, they don't actually ask just complete strangers, My back is big. I know all these people, the comments about my life experiences and unique experience, and maybe start a second channel on that, right? Matt, just interested. I have been watching some of your old coaching videos when you started with Robert. How many calories did you have him on to gain weight? I don't remember when we started. I mean, I could ballpark it because you're talking to obviously Robbie from the vlogs. If I go off memory, okay, now I'm going to apologize because I could be wrong. Based on memory, I think we started in the high 2000s. Like something like, it could have been like 26 to 2,800. It was somewhere in that range. If my memory serves, I know eventually we had him up at like 3,800 for a while, but it took almost a year, like 9 months or a year before we went that high. Yeah, Dan, I've never heard of that. Like people are usually private about their private medical stuff, and it's actually protected information. Like you can't, if you get a hold of someone's medical history without their permission, it is illegal in the U.S. Like it's considered a very private, protected thing. It's kind of a big deal. Yeah, but it's just rude to ask everybody that. And I get it's a big topic in fitness, but the problem is we don't have an honest perception of it in fitness, and so therefore it's not a topic that we can discuss in that same manner. Because if a person gets up and discusses it and then tells you they're on TRT, because the fitness world has made it into something that it's not, it's going to be perceived differently. Okay. Do you usually keep a file on clients in case they re-sign a contract? Yes. Yep. I keep files on all my former clients still. I keep all the notes because a lot of them do return. I have literally had clients who were not on my roster for 2 years come back. So, it's good to have. Chris, eventually, right now, it's still a sound. I'm not trying to blast my neighbors out with a big tube amp or anything. It's not like I'm doing big gigs or anything at the moment. Eventually, I'll probably get like a Marshall tube amp, or if I want to spend that type of money, there's definitely, gosh, the newer brand for the amp. It's eluding me. I can't remember the name. Sorry, I'm brain dead on that. The other big one that starts with an M that makes these great tube amps these days is a more modern company. All right, so we're at an hour in, guys. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wind this down. Orange is good, but that's not who I'm talking about. All right, so let's go ahead and wind this down. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals, and I will talk to you next time.